I'd like to welcome you to Boy Meets Wellness, a podcast that discusses the complexities, celebrations, and challenges of building a wellness ritual as a BOI, a person who is born obviously incredible. You are now listening to Boy Meets Wellness with poet, motivational speaker, and wellness lover, Evolve Benton.
BOI, born obviously incredible, especially when you wear it pretty.
Hello, Boy Meets Wellness community. Welcome to the podcast. Happy Juneteenth and happy Pride Month. Say it loud, I'm Black, queer, and proud. Today's episode features an interview with Analog Lust. Analog Lust is an artist, producer, audio engineer, and creator of Analog Dope. She holds an AS in music production and a BS in entertainment business from the Los Angeles Film School. As a producer, she creates an intersection of electronic soul and hip-hop vibes. She crafts synthesized, melodic, and cinematic sounds over hard 808s and classic hip-hop drums. Her high-energy instrumentals are complemented by seasoned lyrics and content that feeds the soul. But before we jump in, y'all already know I got a wellness tip for y'all. Today's wellness tip is all about movement. Did you know that a powerful daily walk is essential? It's really essential for y'all life. No, I'm serious. I know many of us are missing the gym, missing running on a treadmill. I personally miss throwing kettlebells around. But I recently read this amazing article by HuffPost, which I'll include in the show notes, that shares 9 reasons why walking is amazing. I'm going to share 3 of them that resonated with me. Number 1, walking is affordable and accessible. So no more gym fees, y'all. That $50 you was using at the gym, you can save that, put it in a savings account, and walk it off. Walking is affordable and accessible, and it constantly gives us a space to think and be out in nature. You might be able to grab some fresh herbs or some fresh fruit from a tree with consent. So it's a great place to be. It also depletes or lessens anxiety and depression. But I don't know about you, but when I go for a good walk, if I'm in a bad mood, it calms me down. If I'm not aligned, it usually aligns me. And also, it helps with sleep, y'all. That's the real thing. Like, it helps. It's been seen that folks who walk an average of 30 to 45 minutes a day sleep better than folks who are couch potatoes. So I remember when I was a young person in LA, we would play basketball all day under the beautiful sun. And it was really interesting to me that I always slept comfortably after being out in the sun and walking and working out. So get out, get some movement. You use your nature or even your concrete jungle, if that's what your experience is, to get a 30 to 45 minute walk and get some movement in if you can, if that is accessible for you and for your body. These well-being tips are tips that are personal to me, but feel free to always shift them for your own personal accessibility and experience. Today's episode is brought to you by Mar Media Productions. Mar Media is a media production company that produces, publishes, and uplifts the stories and art and journeys of queer and trans people of color and the people who make our lives incredible. Don't forget to celebrate Sir for Pride Month. Head over to evolvebenton.com, enter the promo code BIRTHDAY at checkout to get 40% off of my poetry collection. The sale ends on June 30th, so you still have a few days, about 10, 11 days to get it going. Again, that is birthday. The code is birthday. Use that at checkout to get Sir at evolvebenton.com for the month of June. I hope you enjoy this interview with Analog Lust, and have a good day. Hello, world. Welcome to Boy Meets Wellness. I'm super excited about this conversation today with my boy, Analog Lust. Analog in the building. Can you speak to folks and just let them know where you're at right now, your pronouns, and what brings you joy?
Absolutely. First of all, I really appreciate you inviting me on your show. I love this platform. I am Analog Lust, and I'm currently in Las Vegas, Nevada. My platform, basically, I'm an artist, I'm a producer, audio engineer, a couple different trades. I just like to sum it all up as like a scientist in the sort.
So you in Vegas right now. What's bringing you joy in Vegas, and how are you taking care of yourself? during this COVID-19 pandemic?
Oh man, in Vegas right now, what's currently bringing me joy is we've actually started a garden, and that's been very therapeutic. Just to be able to like the stillness of it, to be able to put seeds in the ground and just watch it grow. I never thought that I would enjoy it as much as I did. It's something I always wanted to do, was like plant something and just see if it can actually grow in the desert where we are, because a lot of people think that we can't grow things here, but it's actually, we've been seeing things sprout up. And so that's been bringing a lot of joy during this particular time, during the pandemic right now.
That's nice. Yeah, we started a couple of things. My partner started some stuff like from fresh vegetables that we got in water. So she's been growing like some green onions, and it's interesting that I feel like personally, because I'm able to be home, because I don't normally work from home and see the progress and go out to the garden every day.
Exactly.
It very much feels like ritual. So thank you for bringing that in. And for folks in our audience, you don't have to have this big space to have a garden. You can have something really small and simple and bring that plant life into your life.
Definitely. Yeah.
So how long have you been in Vegas, and when did you leave like the Bay Area? Because you're originally from Oakland, right?
Right. I'm from Oakland, California, and I left. Well, I moved to Vegas initially in '02. And I lived here for a while, and then I moved to Long Beach area, and I lived there for 4 years, and I came back to Vegas at the end of 2016. So I've been here about 4 years, almost 4 years, since I've come back to Vegas. So,
West
I
Coast
like
connection. Yeah, you like it. You went back. They say if you live in a place, you leave and you come back, then you actually really love it, right?
Yeah. It's a speed that I, was able to adjust to here, being from Oakland, Northern California. There's a certain speed in the Bay that you kind of like, when you grow up there, you're used to that. And in LA, in Southern California, the speed is very different. Everything is very different. So I didn't really adjust to that life too well of living in Southern California. So once I completed and did everything that I need to do there, I came back to Vegas. It made more sense for me to come back to Vegas.
So as far as like the incredible people that make your life incredible, right? Because we're talking about being born obviously incredible. Who are the people who make your journey incredible? If someone asks you to make like a gratitude list, who would sit on the top of that, and why?
Right. Well, I would have to say first, my mom. My entire life, she's made life incredible through ups and downs. She's been there. She's been there, pushing me, encouraging me, showing me the brighter side, but not sheltering me from harsh reality and teaching me the harsh reality that I need to know growing up. So, and just seeing who she's evolved into now, it's like that brings me so much joy, because everything that she's worked so hard for, she deserves that in her life. So that brings me joy to see her happiness. Another person would be my partner. She brings me joy on a daily basis, sharing and spending time with her, especially this time right now, sheltering in place. I couldn't ask for a better situation, a better partner to be in this situation with right now, and just kind of grow. And as we change and have to adjust and evolve, having a good partner in a situation like this means everything.
Ashe to that. Ashe to that. So Oakland, I feel like people here have a particular sound. You know what I mean when it comes to music. So what part of Oakland did you grow up in, and what artist would you say influenced you to want to be an MC?
So I grew up particularly in West Oakland, kind of borderline North Oakland as well. So for me, growing up, the artists, when I was younger, the artists that had heavy influence on me were like Too Short, Digital Underground, The Conscious Daughters, Sibo, and Ron. These are all people, like, if you're from Oakland, you probably won't even know these names, but these are like Mac Dre, some of the artists that I grew up listening to that influenced me, like as far as falling in love with hip hop and rap music, and I grew up around in my environment and my family. There were so many different genres of music that was involved. So my brother, he was a jazz musician. So I was turned on to jazz music at a young age from him. And then I had another brother that was like the local neighborhood DJ, and he had all these records and vinyl stacked up in the room. And I used to go in there and sneak in there and just get on his turntables and get in trouble, you know. So I was like exposed to a wide range of music and locally influenced by a lot of Bay Area hip hop artists. As I got older, like Souls of Mischief, Hieroglyphics Crew, Guapale, all these people. Like, I mean, Oakland in itself is so rich in culture and music. It's like everything around you just become Oakland, you know? So.
Hell yeah. You named some dope people. I really like Mac Dre, and I feel like I can definitely hear a lot of that in your rhythm, especially in some of your older music. So as an artist, like I feel like the way that I have, what I call it is calling in the muse, right? Or going through my ritual of creating has definitely shifted in my life, right? Like, when I was younger and in college, it was definitely like in more in angst, right? So I was responding to what the world was giving to me. So I have a breakup with my girlfriend, I'm gonna go write about it. I get,
right.
I get into some shit at my job, I'm gonna go write about it. I get, get to something in the classroom, I write about it. And now that I'm a little bit older, I feel like it's definitely a little bit more spiritual and intentional.
Absolutely.
So can you talk to the audience a little bit about your ritual when it comes to writing a song and how it's changed in your career?
Oh man, it's it's changed, it's evolved, it's ever evolving. There's no one way for me. And also because I do so many different parts. So if we're talking about lyrically actually coming up with words and writing, in the beginning, it just would just flow. It would just come off and, I hear a beat and I would just write to it. It was nothing spiritual. It was nothing. It was just hearing a beat and just going and trying to come up with like the dopest lyrics possible, the dopest metaphors, just try to be, just the hardest on the words. As I grew and as I matured, started to take my time a little bit more. I would go back and listen to things that I said and things that, when I was younger and I put out, and I was like, maybe I didn't, that energy right there that I put out, I don't want to put out that energy. I started to become more conscious of the words as I started to understand the universe better and the words that we put out and the power behind our words. So I started to tap in a little bit more, as you said, like in a spiritual sense, and be more conscious of what I'm saying rather than just saying just anything and not even editing or not even considering what I'm putting out into the universe. So at this point, the music is something that moves me first. If I either make a beat or hear one, I'll let the music speak. I'll let whatever speaks to that music tell me what I need to say at this point. That's pretty much my process at this right now.
Dope. So you still connect in the spirit. I love it. I love it. So when you say like there's various different ways that you do it, I think the question I'm trying to ask is like, how do you know when you're connecting to it and being authentic? I think that's something that is interesting, especially now in hip hop, right? Like I remember growing up with Pac and even Jay-Z at that time, and it very much felt like what people were talking about was their lived experience. Whereas now people talk a lot about what they want to live, right? Like it's almost like I'm gonna put this in the song. I ain't got the Ferrari yet, but I'm gonna put it in the song to manifest it. So where does that line of authenticity lie, and what do you consider as like a true MC? Like, are you so old school where now it's like all the new music you like, nah, I ain't listening to none of that, or can you see both sides?
I can see both sides definitely, because especially with younger artists, because I used to be one. I used to be that artist that would just get on the track and just say anything. So I can see both sides, but I feel like when you grow, you start to understand, like I said, the power of your words more. But for me, how I know when it's authentic, it's a feeling. It's hard to explain. It's something. It's like a nudge on the shoulder, almost like, yeah, that's it. You write out a line, and it's something inside of you that just, just let you know, this is it. This is who I am. And it, in a sense, brings you like one of your highest joys, one of your highest highs, because you're tapping into who you really are, and not by so much of the influence of what you think people may want to hear, or this is going to be hot right now. You're actually, you're digging into you. And that feeling when you get it. I know you know it as a writer, like that feeling when it's like, yeah, this is me, this is who I am. So that's really the best way I know how to explain it.
Yeah, something in the gut. It's definitely something in the gut that kind of checks you when you're getting real.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first met you, which, believe it or not, I was thinking about time. I feel like that was probably like, what, 14, maybe 2014, 13, maybe 13, actually.
I believe it had to be 2012 because we met at the retreat, right?
Oh yeah,
and that was the first year. Yeah, that was the first year that I attended the Blue Retreat. So I think that's where we met. Yeah,
we going on 8 years, man. That's
we going strong. And building.
We building it. So when I first met you in 2012, I seen you as just like a rapper, MC, and I remember this turning point where you were going to like music school and you were like talking more about like production. So what made you like take it from, because I don't know where it was for you then, right? Like, but it seems like it became more serious and you became more about the music business. At least that's how I seen the movement happen. What took you from MC to producer and now to like cultivating your own company?
Right. So at that time, what actually happened was I came back to the other side of the board, I'll say, which is audio engineering and production, which is, I kind of began there. I was always, in the beginning, like just kind of like the neighborhood, I'll say, quote unquote, rap chick. And, I started off getting on songs, and a friend of mine took me to a studio and to get on one of his songs. I was more interested in what the actual engineer was doing than just rapping. So that sparked my interest pretty early on. And I started off audio engineering first, but as I started to be an artist more, I got away from engineering and producing, and I focused more on emceeing and lyrics and putting music out as an MC. And I did that for a while. So we kind of met when I was at the point of wanting to get back into my core and grow more as a producer. Like I said, I got tired of myself as a rapper in a sense, and everything that I was saying and what I felt like I was representing, and I needed to step away from it. So with that, it led me back into the art of sound and engineering and producing. And I went back to school for it. Because at this time now, they were offering degrees in exactly what I wanted. When I initially started engineering, there was no degree program. There were only like, you can get a certificate or something like that. So once I saw that, oh, wow, this is something I can actually go to college, to school for something that I really, really love. I jumped on that and I went back to school for it.
Oh, man, like seeing you just go and get like, I don't know. I feel like even seeing the pictures of you after getting that degree, it felt so much like a ritual, like, like a confirmation. Yeah. So that's a blessing that they actually like, patience. Sometimes people want to rush things. Patience gave you the opportunity for the school to have the thing you wanted instead of rushing into something that maybe wasn't for you, which I think we can kind of do when it comes to education.
It did. And, kind of, we get caught up in the traditional sense of education a lot. And I think for me, I rebelled against, getting a traditional degree and because I knew what I wanted to do. And so I just pursued what I wanted. And once I saw that there was a formal education and I could kind of technically, get, the step-by-step process and then get something on paper, that brought me even more joy. And it was like, wow, okay, now it's official. They let me know that this industry is growing and women are actually now more so a part of it, because initially there were no women, there were no Black women doing anything as far as audio engineering and producing. But now we see it's grown a lot more. So.
What would you say are like the celebrations of sound engineering, and what would you say are some of the challenges?
So the celebrations, for me, like I said, like seeing more women, seeing women connect, women of color, Black women, having like, I would say like Missy, Missy Elliott, and other women engineers, you know, be celebrated after years and years of trying to break through like these walls and ceilings. So that's definitely a part of like the celebration. The other side of it, it's pretty dark. I mean, as for women and Black women, one of my first internships in the studio, you know, was very hard, and I didn't understand, you know, why I was being treated the way I was being treated. Later, found out, you know, it was just a system of just being kept in my place and not being able to rise, you know, and put in a position to be successful because others were being put there first before me, even if they didn't have the knowledge that I had. So that's a downfall always, you know, for women and Black women, is that, but that's something we could use it just makes us stronger and it builds character at the end of the day, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think what you've been able to do, and at least what I've seen you do, even with me, is like be able to be a mentor in this world, right? And I think that it's unfortunate that so many of us have to take a L or experience harm, right, to create space for other people to be able to have experiences that are different, right? Because since you decided, okay, I'm gonna be a sound engineer, I'm gonna do this work, someone can come and work with you, and they don't have to work necessarily with the list of men that are out there because you decide to be in that position. So.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you for taking on that burden for us and doing that good work.
And thank everybody that came before me that, you know, had to do that for me to get there. So, you know, it's a process. It all works together.
So one of my favorite songs of yours is "Activate," as you already know. It's still on my workout list because I feel like it gets me really warmed up and it gives me a purpose. And I've been wanting to ask you, like, you know, with writing that song, like, how long did it take? What was the process like? And what was the intention going into it? Right? Because I know as an artist, sometimes when I'm going in and creating something, what spirit gives me is totally different than what I even imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah. I could have never imagined that song to come out the way it did. The only intention was high vibration. You know, I was creating the Resonate EP, and I wanted a high vibrational EP music, and that's what I was creating at that time. So I made the track, and then once I made the track, I just pretty much put it on my phone, and I wanted to listen to it while I ran. And this is most of the time lately, my process is like coming up with either hooks or just, you know, key phrases in a song. Is like I'll listen to it while I'm running, especially if it's high frequency music. So I was running and it was a beautiful day, and the hook came to me: activate my melanin. And it was so real because it felt literally to me, that's what I was doing in that moment. I was running, I was listening to music, and I felt like the sun was on me, and I felt like my melanin was being activated at that time. So that's where the hook came from. And once I got the hook, I came right back to the house, went in the studio off of that energy, and I just started to record myself. I didn't even write the lyrics down. I started to just record myself because I heard about, you know, this is a process some MCs use. They just start recording and then edit it later. So I started using that, and that's the process that I used to write that entire song. I just recorded lines. Oh, that's dope. Stop there. Recorded some more lines, and that's pretty much how that song came together.
Lit. For our listeners, I'm gonna drop the link to that video because it's a powerful video. Actually shot in Las Vegas in the show notes, so y'all make sure y'all look for that.
No
amazing
doubt.
Song, an amazing video. If you are a Black person, you should be baptizing yourself in that every day in this pandemic to activate yourself to be able to get out there and do the good work. So a lot of folks don't know this about you, but yeah, you produce, yeah, you rap, but you got a day job. You know, I didn't even know that. I was always wondering, I'm like, yo, how you making this money? How you here? How you there? You in LA everywhere?
And you wrote a really dope article, which I actually included on my university's website about like working from home, right? And
nice.
And setting up boundaries, because I thought it was great and it was really what I needed. So yeah, can you tell us a little bit about like the other work that you do, and maybe give folks, you know, a small summary of some of the tips you gave from working from home? Because I think that that's so powerful, especially in the COVID-19 pandemic. There's like the majority of us are, you know, working remotely.
Right. Yeah. So my day job, basically, I am a web designer / developer and digital marketing for a electronics company based out of LA. It's a gig that I got while I was living in Southern California. Small business. So I worked very closely with the owner of the company. And when I relocated back to Las Vegas from Southern California, he gave me the opportunity to work from home. Being that my job is mainly, I can do it from a laptop. So I proposed the idea. I said, hey, I'm moving. Can I work from home? You know, and he was like, absolutely. One thing I could say about that too is that, you know, we carve out our own opportunities. If I didn't, you know, ask to do that, it would have never happened. If I didn't see myself doing that, it would have never happened. In addition to the position of being the web developer and designer, I got into that position by actually just designing the company website. When I started working for the company, I was just doing some digital marketing part-time while I was in school. And the company website was crap. And I said, I can actually do this better. And I built a website for the company. And so I got put into that position of being in charge of it. And so now at this point, I work from home, and I try to give myself structure. But since the COVID, I'm taking myself out of it just a little bit, just enough for me to have some mental space at times. You know, I think we all need that. I think we all need to take a little bit more time right now than normal. But for me, I have a space that an office. If you do have the space, you know, just try to carve out your own space. That's very important, where you won't be disturbed by people you live with, where when you sit in that space, your partner or your kids or whoever know, just, you know, don't disturb me right now. I'm trying to, you know, I'm actually working while I'm here. And also just keeping good vibrations in that space is important for me. I try to burn incense, oil, and also just play, you know, whatever music will keep you calm and keep your brain going, like brain food music, you know, whatever that is for you. For me, it's like lo-fi, jazz, you know, music without words, basically, is what's best for me. And move around. Don't just sit down all day. Don't just sit at the desk all day. Get up. Like right now, currently, I'll get up and go to the garden and spend, you know, 10 or 15 minutes just looking at it, or just, you know, absolutely go outside, make an excuse to go outside, walk around, exercise, make sure you exercise, and don't weigh yourself down with food or else you're going to get sleepy and just go jump into bed, right? Because it's right there. So
yeah, I made that mistake a couple of times already, man. I was like, I'm going to have that midday snack. Too many carbs, man. Too many carbs.
Yeah, then you just out like a light. Like, what happened?
You gotta have a high energy food during the day. That's real. That's real. So how long have you been like working remotely?
I started working remotely beginning of 2017. So we're talking about, you know, 3 years, a little over 3 years. I've been working completely remotely.
That's dope. I didn't even know that. I just thought you was out here, you know, slanging dope, because, you know, you got the company Analog Dope. So I was like, well, maybe that's like a little, you know, hidden company.
Yeah, that's what I want y'all to think. I want y'all to think that.
So speaking of Analog Dope and the name Analog Lust, where do those names come from, and how did you come up with that?
So Analog Lust, well, initially my artist name was Lady Lust, and, you know, that just something that came when I was younger. My last name is Luster. So Lust came off of that. People would call me Lust. And then with me being like the only girl in the studio, it was like Lady Lust. And that just came together as my name. As I kind of, you know, as I matured more and evolved, The name analog, it kind of came to me. It just fit, it just is who I am, who I understood myself to be energy wise, and music and sonically. Being an audio engineer and a music producer, I came up in the analog era. And I resonate still to those principles, maybe not necessarily to like the hardware. I don't have all the hardware I used to have, but there are still principles in the sense of analog that are just who I am and just apply to me as an artist and as a person. And so analog, I decided to make that more so my creative and my artist name, Analog Lust. Analog Dope, pretty much same premise. It's just, just added the dopeness to it. The dope is just, it's the music, it's the creativity. It's giving you, what you need with that fix, for good music. I wanted to create a label and more so an educational platform for artists, independent artists, because independent artists miss a lot of what is, the resources that are out there. The music business model it wasn't initially designed for independent artists. It was designed for labels to be successful, not independent artists. So I wanted to, once I went back to school and I learned so much, I wanted to be able to, give this knowledge to other artists as well as make a platform for dope music.
Well, you doing that right away and all the time. One of my favorite Christmas songs is, by Charlie, your partner. And I just love that y'all are able to like make amazing music. So what is that process like creating with your partner? How's that been?
Man, I'm going to tell you both sides.
Yeah, give us both sides. We real over here. The boy wellness community wants the real. We don't want no sugar. No sugarcoat it.
Yeah, I'm not going to just be like, oh, it's dope. It's flowers. And no, at the end of the day, everything we come up with is super dope because we have this like mutual respect for each other as, I respect who she is as a singer, as a writer and her abilities. And she has the same respect for me as a producer, engineer and everything. So when we come together and we blend both of those ideas that we have, it always comes out like, wow, okay, this is dope. When we get to the final, that process though, however, you have two stubborn individuals who I may think that, no, this sound has to stay right here. And she may feel like, no, it doesn't, or, just vice versa. So, but in that process, it's all really about respecting each other and trusting each other. There's a lot of trust that goes into what we do. And so sometimes there may be something that she wants to do that I may think is not the best thing to do, but I have to trust her, right? And so that trust, I may hear it 3 days later and be like, you know what? That's actually dope. And I'm glad I trusted you on that. So, you put those elements together and it all comes together. It comes out good.
Yeah, you got to trust the process. You got to trust the creative process.
Right.
That's real talk right there. So let's talk a little bit about like spiritual practice. I remember when I first like met you, one of the coolest things I thought about you is that you actually like meditated and stuff. I remember you talking to me about it and talking to me about all these books and stuff. And then two or three, I wasn't there yet. I admit I was not there yet. 2 or 3 years later, I was like, oh, I'm going to read The Alchemist. I'm going to try to check out some of this stuff that Lust is talking about. And then we went to church together, right? So I've always known you very much as a rock star, but then a very like spiritual being. So what does your spiritual practice look like? I always like to ask this question, especially of LGBTQ folks, because I think that in a lot of spaces, people feel like we can't be connected, but I feel like we're the most divine. So like what's your spiritual practice as a creator?
My spiritual practice now, it's varied, it's evolved, but it always comes to grounding first. Stillness is very important, and that involves meditation. I think meditation has probably been one of the most important things for me in my spiritual practice, to be able to just go within and understand more about yourself with yourself. Also, I would say a part of my spiritual practice is running. You know, I run and I allow my mind and allow myself to have a conversation, you know, with God while I run, which is why it's so important to me. And also just keeping your space at a certain frequency, you know, that I guess I would like to say my partner, she didn't understand a lot when we initially moved in together, what I would be doing, but just keeping, you know, like the energy at a certain space. And that involves, you know, who you let into your space, what you allow into your space. I do burn sage, incense, oils, because our senses tap in to energy and kind of create and shift our moods at times. So it's important to keep, you know, something burning good or something smelling good, flowers and things like that. So it's not just one thing. It's just the overall, just a way of living, a well-being, I would say, for me, is what my spirituality is at this point. Yeah, that's pretty much how I would sum it up.
Ashe. So I'm about to ask you a really difficult question because I know that for me as an artist, it's hard for me to choose one of my kids. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, man.
but you know where I'm going with this. So out of all the songs you've written, what is your favorite song?
Oh, man, come on.
Okay, I'll give you two. What's your top two favorite songs and why?
Top two favorite song and why? Well, I mean, okay. I'm going to simplify it. I'm going to say recent. So Activate. Activate is, it just, it's like a bottle. Like you put everything in a bottle. It was like it just shaking up and it just exploded. And that's what that's how it came out. And it was one of the songs I was really proud of to produce the song entirely. And then be able to write the lyrics and then see the visuals come into fruition. And when I listen to it now, it brings me back. All those feelings like come back. So that's a really, I would say, one of my favorite songs. I don't know if I can narrow any other songs down really like that.
That's fine. That's fine. If you just got that one golden child and you don't want to, you know.
Yeah. That's definitely a standout one to me.
Yeah, it's so hard for me when people ask me that. Sometimes people will bring up poems that I've not forgotten, but that I'm not as connected to, and then I'll go back and I'll be like, "Dang, I really did like that, right?" Like,
right.
But it was a different time in my journey, so
exactly.
it's hard to be connected to it. So we're wrapping up this segment, and I have a couple of more questions for you. So I really want to know more about your tips for other MCs, especially, you know, Black lesbians, right? Like I remember watching these videos with my best friends. There's so many of us that aspire to be MCs. Like there's a whole genre of like Black lesbian women. If people don't know, you should go look it up. Just look up stud rapper. I mean, you will find it. What advice would you give them to like trying to step into the music industry independently? And then in general, what advice on a more macro level would you give advice just to folks, you know, trying to utilize this as a business, right? Because I think that it starts definitely from an artistic form, but sooner or later we get to a point, some of us get to a point where, you know, we might be an LLC, we're thinking about it in a different way.
Well, I would say if, you know, the first thing I would say to MCs, you know, in our community is ask yourself, like, what are you doing this for? You know, am I just doing this for fun? You know, or am I doing this for like longevity because I want, you know, to have a label eventually and things like that. And that's one thing I didn't ask myself. And I would advise, like, ask yourself, if you're doing it for fun, that's cool. Do it for fun. Don't make it, you know, so serious. You know what I mean? If you're doing it for purposes of developing, eventually you want to do more with it, you want to have a career, then you want to work on your craft. You know, you want to be dope. You want to be more than just a good quote unquote gay rapper or a good stud rapper or, whatever box that, people may push you in. You want to be more than that. You want to be just dope, period. So just work on your craft. And business wise, do your research and learn what the business side of music is. The creative side, for the most part, is going to be easy. But the business side is something that you're going to have to really learn if you plan on having longevity, if you want to eventually get paid, have royalties, if you want to, maybe get your music placed or licensed and things like that. You're going to need to take some time and do your research and learn what all of these things mean. And all of that information is accessible on the internet. It's all available at your fingertips. So.
Yeah, you taught me that working with you on, Serve Volume 1. I was like, dang, like this is how you do it. You taught me so much on the back end. And thank you so much for like really being a mentor and sitting down and doing it with me. Because I think a lot of people in the entertainment business is just like, I got it, I could do it. But then you don't end up learning the steps, right? And that's how we have mishaps. And I feel like we don't take care of ourselves. So I kind of want to navigate there. Like, listeners, we worked on this amazing project together, Serve Volume 1. It was such an honor to be able to work with you in collaboration, right? Because, a lot of it is like I think some people see it on the outside bubble, like art just appears, but there's such a process.
Right.
I've been wanting to ask you this, like when you got like, the flow, you got my words, like what was the process of you really thinking about like the sound and how you wanted to lay that into this project?
Oh man. Yeah, I love that you asked me that because I really enjoyed the process of your project, man. So you sent me the words, which was really dope because I already kind of knew who you were as an artist. I had heard you perform in a couple of spaces. So I was already familiar with some of your work. I believe I was familiar with Boy, BOI. And so when I got that one in particular, I just listened to the words over and over again so I can until I got a visual of what you were saying, till I can visually see the words, until I felt like I was there. And as I got the visual, I treated it as a sound score, like a movie score in my head. So you had the brass players in the yard, and so it only felt right to start to add and build sounds that correlated to what you were saying around that. In addition to, I just felt like you were speaking for me. I was like, man, this is a voice that I can relate to. And so it made it joyful in a sense to be able to create around your words and build a soundscape for it. So that's pretty much how I approached every song, was that I would just listen to the words in headphones until I visually can see what the words were giving me. And then I created sounds and music around those words. And that's pretty much how it came together. I love it so much. I love that project so much.
Yeah, man, I love it. You already know I love it too. I think I was talking to a friend of mine who's working on a project, a new project, and they've dropped several albums, and they were like, it's nothing like your first baby. You know what I mean? And this is my first baby, and I just appreciate the fact that you nurtured it so much with me, and that you were willing to really like hold it in that way. Because I didn't know that you like sat there and listened to the words and got the visual in the process. And it's just like, it feels good to know that my baby was taken care of. So thank you, fam.
Absolutely, no problem. And I knew that. I knew it was your baby, and I knew that like the brevity of like the project, and I understood that you had already released the book, and that was dope. Congratulations on that and the success of the book. And I knew that the audio version of what your written words had to take it to the next level and allow people to have more of a visual of what you were saying, because these words were so important, So I thank you for, hand choosing me to be a part of that, man. I really appreciate it.
I could so see you doing like and I don't even know what the formal name of it is, but like the background to the music. To the
film scoring. Yeah,
film scoring. Yeah,
it's
I could
definitely a
so see
goal.
you doing. Yeah, we got it. Let's manifest you getting linked up with Lena Waithe, because I could see that being a vibe.
Man, look, I feel like we just did it right now.
We just did it. We done spoke it. It's out there. So that gets me to you, one of my last questions. I got one more after this, but this is probably going to be difficult for you too. And I'm sorry, but I got to ask you because you're a rapper.
Yeah.
So my first one is for you is Pac or Biggie. That's one. And then the second one is who's your greatest rapper alive? Alive right now. Who would you say is the greatest rapper alive?
Oh, okay, great. Alive.
Okay. We can just they could be dead.
Alive. That's
I'm like, they could be dead. We got some good ones on the other side. If they're not alive, it's fine. They're alive still on our headphones.
Oh man. Greatest alive. I gotta just get at to Jay. That's it. Nothing needs to be said after that. For me, that's greatest alive. The Pac and Biggie, man, I'm from the West Coast, so Pac, there's no debate for me with that one.
Easy for you. Easy breezy. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
So my last question for you. So, Boy Meets Wellness, we're all about money, mindset, and motivation, right? And exploring the stories of folks that are incredible. So a lot of people ask me all the time, like, Evolve, how do you make money, right? Like as a creative. And I'm like, I got a real job and sometimes other things come in, but how do people make money in the music business? Because I think that that's a science and a calculation that people don't look at when they're thinking about jumping into it. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Know your skill set. Whatever your skill set is, utilize that. So, for example, if you're a singer, that's your skill set. Work on that to the point where you feel comfortable, one, performing, and it's okay. And a lot of singers and musicians, it's okay for you to get paid to perform. It's actually what's supposed to happen. So make sure you get paid for, your performances and things like that. You can also get paid for featuring on someone's song, either up front or on the back end, which involves publishing, which is something that you can research and figure out what that is. Also, I would say doing lessons is a good way that a lot of musicians can make money as well. If you sing or play piano or an instrument, you can always give lessons. As producers, one thing that I'm looking into is creating sounds and actually doing sound packs. A lot of producers do sound packs where the sounds that you use in your beats, you just make a pack of that and you can sell sound packs. You can also sell loops, sound loops. There's a lot of websites on for producers to sell loops and sound packs and things of that sort. So once you understand your skill set and what you can do, then you can start to look of ways to make revenue from the skill set. On the business end, you can consult artists, you can manage artists, you can market artists. These are all things that you can build and collect revenue from. And the thing about it is that you have to know and have the confidence to say, you know what, I should be getting paid for this. I can get paid for this and I will get paid for this, and if you move in that fashion, then you can start to create streams of income within music and music business.
Ashe, and that's in the world, y'all. I'm gonna let y'all know right now. Whatever you giving out, you should be charging for it or bartering for it, and that's energetically and artistically. Like I think a lot of times we give a lot of free emotional labor, even as creatives. And we gotta figure out, how to refill ourselves. Like a lot of people look at it as like, I don't want to ask because it's money, but money is energy, right? So we're fueling ourselves. And if we're open to abundance, we'll get it, right? Like when we're pushing it back, we're not able to receive it. So Analog Lust, man, I'm doing this interview. I'm just right here sitting in the divine energy of this moment and really excited about it. It just hit me like we doing it. Like I dreamed it. It's happening. We doing it.
It happen. It's just something else, another thing that we've done,
Great. And so how can folks, before we move into the next segment, how can folks get involved with you, learn more about your work? Let's say a rapper is like, yo, I heard Activate. I want to create a track like that. How can they do that? How can they get contact you?
Word, you can go to the website, analogdope.com. We do have a way to contact us through the website. My social media is Analog Lust, Analog Lust, and there's an underscore after that. That's my social media for Analog Lust. And then Analog Dope is the same thing, Analog Dope, and then there's an underscore. That's on IG. Also Facebook as well as Analog Dope and Analog Lust. I love when artists hit me up, ask me questions about music or business, set up consultation to discuss your next project and the steps that you can take. I'm available. Reach out.
Nice. So do you want the audience to know anything else before we move into the next segment, which is Boy Talking Hop, which is a little bit more of like a fill in the blank segment?
Man, just, support artists, support creatives, especially during this time. Artists and musicians are hit hard. There's no way for musicians to collect any sort of like unemployment. So there's a lot of shifting that's going on with how to create income. So let's support each other. Let's learn new skills and new things, and let's connect and just build community out of this situation that's going on right now.
Thank you for that. So Boy Talking Hop is like a fill in the blank. So I'm going to give you a phrase or a segment and you're going to fill it in at the end, kind of as fast as you can, whatever comes to mind. Okay. So I would say something like love is, and then I probably would fill that in with everlasting, right? And you fill that in with whatever word comes to mind.
Okay.
So you ready?
All right. I think so. Yeah. I'm ready.
Okay. Ownership is
liberation.
Music is
freedom.
If you could speak to anyone or spend the day with them, dead or alive, who would it be and what would you do?
My big mama, and we would just talk and laugh and spend time.
Nice. My favorite book is
Conversations with God.
Who's that by?
Neil Donald Walsh.
Nice. I have to check that one out.
Yeah.
My favorite food is
fried rice.
With the soy sauce or without?
Oh man, I mean light soy sauce, shrimp fried rice in particular.
Me. Wellness is
everything.
Love is
God.
Sex is
amazing.
Money is
energy.
And last but never least, lust is
the last undisputed to spit truth.
Ashe. I call that a wrap if it is. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for this.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Peace. This is Analog Lust, and I am born obviously incredible.
Thanks for listening to Boy Meets Wellness. Stay connected on and off the show by following us online at Boy Meets Wellness. That's boy with an I. Until next time.